Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Learn and Grow. Today I am discussing mass spectroscopy. This is important on the basis of MSc semester examination. So, what is spectroscopy? Spectroscopy is a technique in which we are studying about interaction of light with matter, and it gives us different kind of spectra. Now we having mass spectroscopy. Mass spectroscopy is an analytical technique that is used to measure the mass to charge ratio of ions. मीन्स मास स्पेक्ट्रोस्कोपी में हम क्या एनालाइज करते हैं? मास टू चार्ज रेशियो. m/z is your mass to charge ratio. Now what is the basic principle of mass spectroscopy? To generate ions from either inorganic or organic compounds by any suitable method, to separate these ions by their mass to charge ratio m/z, and to detect them qualitatively and quantitatively by their respective m/z and abundance. Instrumentation. If we have sample introductions, then ion source, mass analyzer, detector and computer. These are the basic instrumentation for mass spectroscopy. Now we have first step, atoms or molecules from the sample can be ionized. Because neutral species cannot be stirred by electric field used to mass spectrometers, so it is necessary to produce ions. मीन्स जो हमारा मास स्पेक्ट्रोमीटर होता है वो ओनली वर्क करता है फॉर आयनाइज्ड आयंस, नॉट फॉर न्यूट्रल आयंस. सो वी हैव टू एनालाइज आयंस फर्स्ट. नाउ second is mass analyzer, where m/z ratio of ions can be measured. Last step is detection of ions. Devices used are called detectors or collectors. So, in mass spectrometry allows us to determine the molecular mass and the molecular formula of a compound, as well as the certain structure features of the compound. So, what is the instrumentation for mass spectroscopy? In mass spectrometry, a small sample of a compound is introduced into an instrument called mass spectrometer. मीन्स मास स्पेक्ट्रोमीट्री में सैंपल को डिटेक्ट करने के लिए वी हैव टू यूज़ मास स्पेक्ट्रोमीटर, वेयर इट इज़ आयनाइज्ड एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ एन इलेक्ट्रॉन बीइंग रिमूव्ड फ्रॉम ईच मॉलिक्यूल्स. नाउ आयनाइजेशन कैन बी डन इन सेवरल वेज. वी हैव टू आयनाइज अवर सैंपल by bombards the vaporized molecules with a beam of high energy electrons, like 70 electron volt. Let's suppose this is your molecule m. If we done bombardment electron beam or produce electron beam, then it forms m positive, means molecular ion or radical cation plus electron. Now this is the instrumentation of mass spectrometer. This is your sample. Then sample is ionized through incident of higher electron beam to the sample. These are the filaments. Then it pass through this, and here is your positively charged repeller plate. When our positive ions produced are positive in nature, then this positively charged plate repel that ions and incident on these ions on negatively charged accelerating plate, and then acceleration takes place, and ions moves through the entire magnets, and this is your vacuum pump. Some ions which are neutral or having less velocity can move outside, and ions which having higher velocity moves towards this analyzer tube, and then positively charged ions deflected according to m/z ratio, and this is ion exit slit. Then that ions move through this ion exit slit and collected by the recorder and detect our mass spectra. Now we can found our mass spectra through this technique. Now here is some important features like base peak. What is this base peak? The peak with the greatest intensity due to its having greatest relative abundance. Now base peak is assigned a relatively intensity of 100%. The mass spectrometry records a mass spectrum, a graph of the relatively abundance of each fragments plotted against is m by z वैल्यू. मीन्स मास स्पेक्ट्रोमीटर में हम क्या रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, जो हमारा ग्राफ होता है वो हमारा बनता है m by z वैल्यू के साथ एंड मास अबेंडेंस मीन्स रिलेटिव अबेंडेंस एंड m by z के बीच में बनता है हमारा ग्राफ. Then charge reached to the collector plate is always +1. m by z is the molecular mass of the fragment and only positively charged species reach to the collector or detector. Now this is an example of mass spectra. Let's suppose we having a mass spectra of normal pentane. This is pentane and this is the mass spectra of pentane, and it is formed with or plot with m by z value and relative abundance. Now what is the base peak? Base peak means having higher intensity. So this is the base peak because it having higher intensity, and this is a molecular ion 72 having mass 72. How we can calculate it? This is base peak represents the fragment that appears in greatest abundance. This is CS3, CS2, 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 CS3 means pentane. When electron beam incident on it, it forms molecular ions having m by z value 72 plus electron negative. How we can calculate this m by z value 72? This having 5 carbon 1 2 3 4 5, so 12 into 5 plus 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 hydrogens means 12, and mass of hydrogen is 1, so 12 into 1, 12 5 ja 60 plus 12 1 ja 12 equal to 72. So this m by z value is 72 for this radical. Now these are some another fragments for pentane ions. This is CS3 CS2 radical and produce CS2 CS2 CS3. M by z value is 43 for this because this is 1 2 3 carbon means 3 into mass of carbon 12 plus hydrogen are 7, so 7 into mass of hydrogen 1 equal to 12 3 ja 36 plus 7 1 ja 7. So if we add 36 plus 7, we have find 43. So your m by z value for CS2 CS2 CS3 radical ion is 43. For CS2 CS2 CS3 this radical plus CS3 CS2 positive ion, we have m by z value 29 because here we having 2 carbon, so 2 into mass of carbon 12 plus 5 hydrogen 5 into mass of hydrogen 1, 12 to the 24 plus 5 1 ja 5, so we found 29. So here m by z value is 29 for this radical, so sorry for this ion. Now if we having a radical CS3 and CS2 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 CS3 positive ion, so here m by z value is 57. How we can calculate it is 1 2 3 4 carbon means 12 into 4. This is mass of carbon into 4 plus 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 hydrogen, so 9 into 1 equal to 48 plus 9 1 9. If we add it, we found 57. So here is m by z value for this cation is 57, as this is. Now another CH3 positive cation, m by z value is 15. How we can calculate it? Here is one carbon atom, so mass of carbon atom is 12, so 1 into 12 plus hydrogen is 3, so 3 into 1 equal to 12 1 12 plus 3 1 3 equal to 12 plus 3 15. So we have found out m by z is 15.